This is Breakfast Daily. Time now to move into our communities. Now, this morning, we are going to the eastern region, the central region areas, to Buduburam. Now, there has been an eviction. The nature of the eviction has been a bit problematic, but this is somebody's property. The person also wants to take charge. And we bring you a report on this put together by our correspondent, Carl Visteta. When we come back, we'll look at the details, the human face of it and really the legal aspect as well. Let's take a look at this. When we come back, we'll have a conversation.
The eviction exercise started around 7 a.m. on Thursday after police officers and task force forcefully ejected residents from the 15-acre land at Sun City, a suburb of Buduburam, in the Gomoa East District of the Central Region. It was such an emotional scene as residents were evicted from their houses by the litigants under the supervision of task force and police. Personal belongings of the affected persons were thrown out of their rooms and entrances locked with padlocks provided by the litigant. The litigant claims to have won a court case against property owners of the area. Some stranded residents shared their frustration with Citi News.
Mr. Adams one, a show no mobile say, one was as number Mr. Bubachra, and yes, bro, your committee, what's a young can you bet you? Maybe then your quarter plot, your mamma is asking me to 100 million. I must see that in short. My sister will make any 350 million. I need to bet 150. What's that in short? Sister, my letter. What I say 1 week or so, you bet you. I didn't say, Papa, my baby, and no me go about it. Let us say, scan I yet muti, Modiano, teaching us. Yes, you are in the bed here. Second parents, no more never go about here. Papa, yes. Or may I him? You never know about Kabame. Say no man, you go about me to me soon say me near man come krum iti me sla no ohwe no ye bibi man why me ni roll for me jack me scan ya 5 cedi me ma me na ya and so mo ba mo yi ni me gwa bonti no mo peja ni free dem ade na beto bonti iti pa cho mo hwe na mo ka bi man why mo na ban ka sa na na do e se wo tie me a na na ye sra be po ayo na Buduburam ya ha se ya le mo po ya se ba ya mo bo na na do be po ayo ya se be wu na na do be po ayo.
The litigant declined to speak to the media about the development. However, the district chief executive for Gomoa East, Solomon Dakukwam, who was not happy with the fast pace of the exercise, believes the developer should have given ample time to the occupants of the structure to move out. The DCE asks residents who have been evicted not to move from the area, but stay and wait for proper guidelines to ensure they move smoothly.
October, November last year, and the processes that we are following, which they are very much aware, is quite different from how they have led this exercise here to throw out people from their homes when as DCE and as assembly, clearly they have circumvented the lay-down procedure that they themselves told us we have to follow. As I speak, we have our documents as far as police legal department seeking permission before the police will follow us to go and help a developer take possession of his property, which the court has granted to him. So I see no reason why the same thing cannot be replicated here. And so early this morning, they rushed here with those thugs. I saw that bus with those filthy people in the car come and throw people out of their homes illegally like that. So me standing here, all I'm saying is that if you have been evicted and you have somewhere you can pack your things and go, so be it. But if you have no other place to go and you break the padlocks and enter the place, you have every latitude to do that because the assembly or the processes have been circumvented and we cannot be part of that type of arrangement.
All right, so there you have is the first report on this issue. But there is a second report, a reaction to some of the things that have happened. The DC also speaks. Let's take a look at it.
On Thursday, March 30, 2023, over 1,000 residents of Sun City, a suburb of Buduburam in the Gomoa East District of the Central Region, were kicked out of their homes by a litigant who had won a court judgment to that effect, and so persons occupying the said 15-acre land, including women and children, were evicted by the police and a task force. According to Citi News sources, the private landowner had secured a court ruling against traditional authorities of the area who sold the land to some residents about some 25 years ago. There was also indication that some of the residents had made payment to the owner of the land as renegotiations were ongoing to repurchase the land from him until the demolition. But barely 5 days after the incident, District Chief Executive for the area, Solomon Dakokwam, has described the incident as an attack since the laid-down procedures were not used by the litigants and the police in evicting persons who occupied the buildings. The DC also cautioned against police allowing themselves to be induced and used for what he described as debt collection exercise. He says the Assembly shall not countenance any such exercise supported by the police in future and wants the IGP to delve into the matter.
After the court ruling, the so-called owners have engaged the residents, the same people they evicted yesterday, and have agreed on certain amount for them to pay to him to rebuy the same land. We don't have problem with that. This is the receipt that some of them have paid. But aside all this, they organized this number of policemen to the place to go and evict them. The question is, are the police very sure they went there to take possession, or they went there to do money collection, debt collection? Was it an attempt by them to help the people to go and collect their money for them, debt collectors? The policemen are doing debt collection now, or they really went there to do repossession? If they had not repossessed, how did they engage them in that discussion to arrive at this 25,000 that they are saying, for which this man has paid 10,000 out of that? So we cannot accept that. And we are sounding this one, we're sending this message to the IGP and the Jubilee House that we will not allow, in fact, we will not allow anybody in uniform, whether because they are brothers or siblings or policemen or whatever, to use the uniform to intimidate us or our citizens.
So that is the update on the eviction at Sun City. But there are a lot of questions, that are begging for answers. So the people who have paid, were they affected? Have they also been evicted? Now, when did they make the payment? Bringing us to the question of how long do they have? How long have negotiations been going on? Were there any kind of deadlines, that we are waiting until maybe in 2 weeks, if you don't bring your money, don't blame us for any actions that we may take. Those who have been evicted, what has been the conversation so far? Were they also given timelines? Did a timeline actually elapse? Because if we have an agreement and we are still within time, I don't think that you can just take laws into your own hands, because there's a contract between us, whether verbally or written. We have a contract. And in this case, it's going to be a breach of contract. Now, flipping the coin, has it also been the fact that now you are trying to emotionally blackmail the landowners to say that, look at our condition, look at this, why would you want to do this? Because if I also need my land for my project, I can't wait on your timing. I can't wait till maybe in 2 years when you think that now I'm okay to move. Look, if I give you some grace period and you are unable to put yourself together, you won't blame me for the next action that I take. So I think that we need to get further
and better particulars.
Exactly. We're trying to get the people who can give us these answers, but it's very emotional, like Calvis mentioned.
Then we also saw the DCA hold up a sheet which is ostensibly
some people have
making
paid.
reference to payment that some people have made. And the question is is there anybody who's actually made payments who's also been evicted?
Where are those people?
And where are these people?
Exactly.
So we'll definitely need to get further into this conversation and find out exactly what is going on there, the details of it all. So we'll speak to somebody shortly on the line. We'll attempt to get them on the line. But in the meantime, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. There's more in this story to come.
Still live on Breakfast Daily, and we are still discussing the eviction at Sun City in Buduburam. We've been joined by our Central Regional Correspondent, Calvis Tete. Thank you very much for your time, Calvis.
Thank you so very much.
Right, so now let's know where exactly, is Sun City located in Buduburam? Is it behind the market? Where exactly?
Well, Rema, the Sun City location is, let's say, once you are from Kaswa heading towards Buduburam, there is a junction they call Estate Junction.
Okay.
Just after the Estate Junction, there's a filling station, filling station. Behind the filling station, that area is called Sun City. That is where you get a whole lot of individuals living around that side. So that side is where Sun City is located, if you ask me.
Right.
Rema.
Now, give us more insight into this issue. How did we get here? How long has this litigation been going on? How come some people have been able to pay the negotiation fees while others have not been able to do so?
Well, Rema, this issue, from what I picked on the ground, has been raging on for over 3 years. And that this individual, who is a litigant, is alleged to have taken the issue to court and taking the traditional authorities to court over the sale of land to individuals. So the matter has been in court for almost about 2 years, and then last week Thursday, the court gave judgment to the effect that persons who are occupying the land should be evicted for the litigant to have his way and have his land. The litigant, from what I learned, is angry with traditional authorities, accusing them of selling the land to individuals to occupy. So once he got the notice, he came to the area with police and task force to come and eject persons who are staying on the land. But prior to this, there have been some negotiations between him and then some persons who are occupying the land. Some individuals wanted to pay for the property. So we learned that some of them have even gone ahead to make payments in excess of, some have paid as much as 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 to the litigants. But unfortunately for them, the police and the task force came around again and ejected them from the premises. This didn't go well with them. Remember, the district chief executive for Gomwa, even said, he described the incident as an insurgency attack on his district, that he was not, although he's aware of the issue, he was not privy to the fact that they were coming to eject the people in such a manner. So he called on the police to desist from that act, and that desist in the sense that at least there should be some sort of human fees attached to the exercise. Because even if you are ejecting someone, you don't just come just for a period of a day, you come and then you eject the person from the premises. But you need to give the person ample time to also find his way and then move out. So he ordered that individuals who don't have anywhere to go after that time of being ejected should go back into their structures and occupy them. And then those who have places to go can just move out. So as we speak now, persons are still occupying the structures. We are yet to see the next action from the litigants.
Now, would you be able to tell us how long negotiations have been going on? Because with people being able to agree to certain fees, it means that they knew that there was some form of litigation concerning that land, right?
Yes, Prema, some individuals on the land admitted that indeed they know that land doesn't belong to them, that it was a temporary something, but they went ahead to negotiate because the litigant asked them to come forward and negotiate. They were, according to some of the individuals, they were charging as much as 100,000, 200,000 for that piece of land, and some of them couldn't afford. So they managed to negotiate and then beat the price down. But unfortunately, they don't know why the litigant has come back and then he has demolished that structure. So you realize that in some of the videos, the DCE was very angry with the police, asking whether they were debt collectors or indeed they were just there to enforce the law by the court. Because he believes that the litigant was there to collect money from the persons who owe him, who are promised to pay. And because the money was not forthcoming, they came with the police to ensure that all those individuals vacate from the premises for him to have his way.
Have you been able to anywhere establish contact with the landowners?
Well, we have not been able to establish contact with the landowner, sorry, because, he was not present at the time. When we called there during the incident, I mean, the orders were with the police, so the litigant was nowhere to be found. He gave the orders to the police came and then ensured that the eviction exercise is carried out.
So, Calvis, do you know if there's anyone who had made full payment and still got evicted?
Well, David, not one that I know.
Okay.
There is no one who has made full payment. Some of them have started doing the payment.
Oh,
and
okay.
These persons who are living, most of them who are living in that area are not people who are that much of the high class citizens. They don't have that much. So for somebody to cough out at least 70 or 80,000, it will be a bit difficult. So you can see that the persons, individuals who are occupying that land are just trying to at least do some payments for the land to be given to them fully. But the litigant wouldn't take any of them. And then he asked that they are all evicted. It is sad when you see over 1,000 people, women and children, occupying the land, and then, suddenly they move them out. Some are not even in good shape, and then they don't have anywhere to go. So their action, why, such an action should be taken, even though the court has given its ruling on the matter, they believe they should be given ample time so that they can move. But the way they were ejected in that manner, it's not something that they are happy with, David.
Calvis, I agree with you on the sentiments, but I also feel that we can't run on emotions in the sense that as much as we put a human face to this, there's also the element of I own my land. The traditional rulers have been illegally reselling my land. And so if I've taken full possession of my land, I don't have a problem. I want to negotiate and say I'm going to sell the land. But if nobody has been able to pay a substantial amount of what I'm asking for, then, the question now comes, how much longer can I wait for them to make payments? Or just, what's going to happen to, because maybe the landowner also says, I want to do a project, with the land, and so I need my land. Right now, today, as we speak, what's the condition of those who have been ejected? You made mention of the fact that some of them have gone back in to reoccupy the spaces that they were in. Have they done that en masse? Or is it just a few people who have gone back in? And what are they saying about, the hours and days ahead?
Well, I agree with you on that level, on that score where you were saying that at least the individual, the litigant owns his land, he's gone to court illegally, owns the land legally, he has gone to court to ensure that individuals who are occupying the land should be moved. But what the individuals were asking for is just ample time.
What? You see, where ample time is what? Because you see, the thing again is, Calvis, what somebody would say, refer to as ample time, when they are the ones who owe, could be 6 months, 1 year. The ample time for the person who is owed could be 2 weeks, or a month maximum. So where ample time
is relative.
I'm not sure if you get me. Well, David, I'm getting you, and against the fact that the land, the traditional authorities start and then resold the land to persons. That is what is also pushing the litigants to do that.
But Calvis, on that score, has the traditional authority made any statements on this?
Well, the traditional authorities, interestingly, are not ready to even address the issue.
Because I think that if anybody should be speaking, it should be the traditional authority. Because in some case, it looks like they have brought about all this. Because if the case, according to you, has been in court for about 3 years, they know that this land is somebody's land, is under litigation. The case is in court, and you are selling the land. So I think that the anger should also, a bit of the anger should go. In fact, majority of the anger should go to the traditional authority, and they need to make a statement. Can you find these people for us to hear their side of the case?
Well, I'll try as much as possible to get the traditional authorities to also react to the issues. But then let's again look at the issue of the district chief executive who is not happy. that this is happening to individuals who occupy land in the district. He believes that, according to the DC, there have been some other judgments they have had with regard to some demolition exercises, and up until now, the judgments have been given to the police. They are moving back and forth and not going to ensure that certain individuals are evicted or moved from a land. But he's worried that why is that in this special case, they have quickly moved in to just evict persons from this premises. Yeah. Meanwhile, the old eviction exercise, I believe he is in charge. They are doing it back and forth. So he feels that perhaps the police are just there to ensure that something is done for someone. You get it? And for that matter, he's not happy that things are going that way. He believes there should be fair judgment for everyone and not special cases for some special people. And he's also saying that the police should, as a matter of urgency, try and then ensure that the right thing is done to make sure that persons who are also occupying this land, who are over 1,000 and over, is where they are going to reside now in the district.
Carlos, I get a sense of people who are vulnerable being taken advantage of. Because when I look at the report and I see what I see in terms of the footage that you brought us, looking at these brooms and bowls and baskets and, things there in there, you can see that these are people who are not well-to-do necessarily. These are people who are, living, we wouldn't even say middle or working class. I mean, it's maybe lower working class, people. But they are not people who are of substantial means. And so maybe it's easy to take advantage of such people, because if there are other evictions that the police have been waffling about on and are not able to do the eviction, according to the district chief executive, then what's really going on here?
Well, that's why the DC is again worried that it seems as though there is a selective justice for some people, because he believes that, there have been some notices for persons to vacate from certain properties within the district, and those ones have not been enforced. According to him, he has taken the matter on. The police are saying they have referred it to the legal department before they will officially come and then assist in moving these persons from the premises. But with this one, the way and manner they just quickly carried it out, that is where he believes is a cause for worry. And he says, although he agrees that indeed the litigant owns the land, they still need to give some amount of time to persons who are occupying it to officially move from the land, and not to kick them out like just individuals who don't have anything to do. David.
All right, Carlos. Thank you very much for bringing us this report. Very important conversation for us to have. I've been speaking with Carlos Tete, who is our Central Regional Correspondent, and I really do hope we can get the DC on the line to talk further. But yeah, it's a tough one in many ways. I mean, if you want to look at it legally, it's a simple issue. Somebody owns their land, they've won the court case, get off the land, let him have his land, But we don't live in a society like that.
No, but you see, I'm not trying to sound insensitive here. This is somebody who has also been fighting for his land for about 3 years.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Look at going to court, monies you pay, waste of time, projects you probably want to do.
Every time you are fighting for something.
Do you get it? You're always fighting. My
point
point is, where are the people who knew that this land belongs to somebody? They are at home sleeping. And now we are making the person who is the rightful owner look bad because I want to take charge of what is mine. Yeah. What about me? What about my family? What about my investments and other things? Yeah. Why are some people, and this is not the first time we are hearing about this, there are cases where, look, it's happened everywhere. It is Legon in certain places where we have people knowing very well that this land belongs to someone else, but we still have landowners who will sell it to multiple people. Yeah. And then they'll go sit down and you leave the other parties fighting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he has taken people's money. He is enjoying.
Yeah.
The landowner has not sold the land to anybody. You cannot decide to get up, take somebody's land, sell it to people, make profit, and when there are issues, you go and sleep and leave them to sort it out. It's about time we move our attention to such people.
Yeah.
They are the ones creating confusion.
Traditional rule,
exactly.
Because it's about lands that are vested in families, lands that are vested in traditional schools, and all
they know
of that.
They don't have the right ownership of the lands, and yet they go about sell lands to like 4 people. When there are issues, they leave them fight over this. When somebody goes to court and wins the case, then that person becomes the bad person.
Did I tell you about my challenge that I had? Anyway, before I tell you about my challenge, let's talk to Ebenezer Benefo, who is an affected resident there at Sun City. Good morning, Ebenezer.
Good morning.
Yes, talk to us about what's happening so far, and then this morning, what's going on at Sun City.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you know.
Yes, I was saying that what has happened so far, where are you, and what's going on this morning at Sun City?
That's come again. I couldn't hear you. It's raining, yes, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, but can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so let me break it down. What has happened so far, and where are you now?
Good morning once again. I'm Richmond Benefo, speaking from Kaswa, Buduburam. Right now I'm in Buduburam. And on Thursday morning, that was 30th March 2023. Yeah, my parents and siblings and I, we woke up and then to do our daily business. So while doing that, we heard a siren of police cars, and so we got out to check what was going on. And when we got out, we saw a lot of police cars and buses parked in front of my mother's shop. So the police were about 100 plus, and they didn't come alone. They came with landlords and landlords. So we went closer to the policemen and we asked them what was going on, like their purpose for coming here. And they told us that this landlord has meaning that their land is theirs. So we couldn't understand them. And this man, that was my third time seeing this man in my house. So I asked my dad whether I asked my dad what was going on, and he said, at that time I was in school, so I asked my dad what's going on. Have they not settled this? And my dad told me that they have already settled, but you don't understand why the man is still here. So after talking with my dad, and the man, one man called Elisa, ordered the landlord to go to everyone's house and bring everyone's belongings out. So after saying that, some even fainted. Those with the blood pressure also, it got rise. Some people didn't agree, but we had no choice than to allow them to bring out our belongings. So after bringing the belongings, they locked everyone's door and gate with a padlock which they brought. So immediately they left. We had no choice but to call the DC, that's the district chief executive. And then we told him what had happened in the area. So after telling him, he told us that we should break every padlock that is used to lock the door or any gate, because the people who came didn't use the right way per the law.
Now, Richmond, how long have you been living in Buduburam?
For about 2 to 3 years.
Do you own the space or you rent?
And we own. We didn't rent. We own.
Okay. Where did you buy the land from? From who?
We bought it from the chief. The chief in the area. We bought it from the chief.
Now, have you contacted the chief regarding this issue?
Yes, madam.
What did the chief say?
The chief told the people to come and meet him. Those who are claiming that the land is yes, he told them to come and meet him.
As in the man effecting the eviction.
Yes.
That they should come and meet the chief.
The chief.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, you bought your land from the chief.
Yes, madam.
And there has been, in quotes, a stranger coming in to claim that same piece of land.
Yes, madam.
And now you talk to the chief tells you that the man should come and meet him. What are you guys doing about it concerning you losing your land? Because as far as you are concerned, you have no business with a stranger coming in, claiming he owns the land. Your problem is with the chief.
Please, you'll be going to the chief, and then you talk to the chief about that.
Okay. So
yes.
what is your father saying at this point about what's the next step?
At this point, the next step, then I will. The next step.
Hello, Richard.
Yeah, I can hear you. I heard what you said.
Yeah.
My dad said they will be going for a lawyer.
Okay. To go and do what?
And then they will send the man to the court.
Okay.
All right.
So all right. So you're proceeding to court at this point. You're going to take who to court? The
landowner,
the one evicting, or the traditional authorities?
The one evicting.
The one evicting. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much, Richmond, for speaking to us this morning.
You're welcome.
All right. So we've just been speaking with Richmond, whose family have been affected by the eviction that has taken place this last couple of days. And obviously, for anybody who is going through this kind of thing, it's very traumatizing because the uncertainty alone, must be a nightmare from a...
But I still stand by my point that at this point, we should have heard from
the traditional
authority,
agree.
the chief,
agree.
Because I can
because in all
understand
this,
do you get it?
You see that even the residents don't think about, at least this gentleman we spoke to and his family, don't even think about the fact that the traditional authorities are actually your first recourse.
Exactly.
Because you bought from them. So
Do
if
you
we
get
are in
it?
this
If
situation,
you have any issue,
they are the ones
go
you
to
must
the
go
person.
to.
You understand? Because I have come to you to buy a suit from you. Okay. Now I'm wearing the suit in town, and somebody tells me that this is a stolen.
Comes to hold your jacket.
Do you understand? Because this was stolen. The first person I would want to talk to is the person who sold the thing to me. But if you leave the person out and you are fighting this person, Charlie, the person might harm you before you get to the bottom of the thing to know that indeed this is it. Now, we've been joined by Honorable Solomon Dakokwam, DCE Gomwa East District. Thank you very much, Honorable, for your time.
Yes, madam.
Right. Now, what has happened in your area is very disturbing, and I can understand why you will be so upset about it. But from where you stand, how did we get here? How long has negotiations been going on? How long have you known that this case is in court?
Thank you, madam, and good morning to your listeners and your viewers and Ghanaians at large. In fact, it will be difficult for me to tell how long or how we got here, because we are not privy to any court litigation, whatever, until the D-Day when the stress calls started pouring in, that people were being forcibly evicted from their homes. At dawn, 4:35 something, the police patrol cars, about 10 to 15, with the langars of a whole tata bag full of langars, pounds on the people. Until that time, we had no foreknowledge of any such thing. So as to how we got here, perhaps the developers
will be the best people to
Right.
tell us.
Now, after what happened, have you been able to establish any contact with the landowners or the traditional authority?
Okay. This is not a matter for the traditional authority. Somebody says he owns the land, he has gone to court has granted to him. We don't have a problem, the court ruling in his favor. Ours is that after winning, you have to. There are other things to do before we can lead you to take possession of whatever you have won.
Okay.
But regarding the developers, frankly, about 3 days ago, a gentleman called me. He says he's called Alajete. Either he's a solicitor to the developers or something. And he more or less was now arranging to come and see me. But he was telling me he has monitored his comments and it has not been helpful to their court. I said, fine. Until you apprise me of whatever you people have won in court and those things, it can't expect me to just be singing your song. So if you have anything, come to my office. So that is it. He's the only person. You know, the court ruling that was served on the people. When you pick it, there is no contact number on it. So it's hard to actually know who to call regarding that.
Honorable,
that is it.
You've mentioned that after winning the court case, there are certain things you need to do before you can reclaim your land. Certain things like what?
Okay, sister, the truth is that the court rulings could come in various forms or in various means. Sometimes the court will rule on default judgment, where the opponent fails to show up in court. Now, so when that happens, the court wouldn't go into the nitty-gritties of the matter, establishing the size of the land, the location, and all that. They will not go there. Once somebody fails to show up in court regarding that speech, the court will just rule. So once court rules, it behoves you who have won the case to bring your matter, the issue, to the assembly where your land falls. We would demand your site plan, your indenture. For our land use and spatial planning authority, the units in our assembly, those that you call them town planning, they will plot your land and they know exactly the size of the land you are talking about, and by the coordinates, they will be able to tell where your land is situated. Then once we are satisfied with all those things, then we will, based on that, and write to the police that this woman has won this case, and so we are to help her reclaim her land. So we need your assistance. It is not the police that writes to us. We write to the police for that assistance. Then the police will take it to the legal department for advice.
Right.
Madam.
Honorable.
As we speak.
Yeah. Please go on.
As we speak, we have a similar case in my district, in an area called Millennium City. The case was won somewhere July, and we finished the whole thing somewhere in October, November last year. The processes have not finalized, so we have not been able to take possession of the land for the owner, even though the person has won the case in court. So we are just surprised that in this particular instance, the police will follow the land developer and just pounce on the people at dawn and supervise the land guards to be possibly evicting people.
Honorable.
So that's why we say it's not right.
Honorable, how long have you been in office?
Since 2018.
Since 2018. Now, per the reports we are receiving, this case has been in court for about 3 years. Now, a resident who was affected, a resident who just spoke to us, says that the father actually said that the man has been to their house about 3 times already. Does this also put who the landowner is in some kind of good standing to say that I've been dealing with the people for quite some time? And I'm asking this because you said that until the demolition started, you had no idea what was going on. But it looks like the residents knew.
Yeah, you see, when the residents know, the residents are not the assembly. The assembly is the authority over the area in jurisdiction. And so, if you are dealing with the people privately, it's a private matter. Once you escalate it to this level, where you are possibly evicting people, we would also tell you what you have failed to do. Now, it's good you have even brought this up. Fortunately, when I went, I cited a court ruling or something dating back 2019. Fortunately, in 2019, I was still in office. But until that day I went there, nobody had come to my office with an information that, oh, I have won this case, and this is what the court wants you people, or this is how I want you to help me to do. But
no resident also came to you?
Yeah, because I think that they had gone there to renegotiate with the people. And the people had agreed to a certain amount, 25,000 per plot. And they had started paying. They brought me some receipts. Somebody who has paid 50,000 out of 75,000. Somebody who has paid 10,000 out of 25,000. And all that. Now, my sister, if you go to court and you win a case like that, the first thing is you take possession. Now you have gone to meet these people and renegotiate, meaning that you have already taken the possession. And once you have started paying, if you go there, you are no more going to take possession. You are going to do debt collection, because the people you think that some of the people owe you, so you don't go and write on the walls that. Taking possession, when you have met the people and renegotiated and they have made payments for you.
Now, Honorable, let me come in here. The resident we spoke with, that was Richmond, stated that his family bought the land from the chief. What role has the chief got to play in all this? Because if I've bought a land from the chief and a stranger comes in, shouldn't the chief come to my rescue to say that indeed I sold the land to this person, and for that reason, it makes him the rightful owner? What role is the traditional authority supposed to play, especially with what has happened and what is going on now?
Yeah, and you see, that is the more reason why you, the landowner, cannot so much take that unilateral action. If they had brought those things to us, it would have been the assembly writing to the residents in that regard. Then the residents will come and tell us who sold which land to them. Then we will call those other people to come and explain why. We will have to satisfy all those things before. Now the situation there is that some of the residents claim all this while, anytime the man came there, he told them one count, they are not included. So they will come and be talking to some other people. But on the day of the eviction, all those people were included.
So what is going to happen now?
What is going to happen simply is that until they bring their side plan, and then what they have done, they have actually brought the name of the assembly and those things into disrepute, and we will punish them for that. We will come, we'll talk about the penalty for that. Then, once they satisfy that, we will then take that plan and plot it. Then we will see the exact area that falls within their area they have won. then we can take the rest of the process, along. Until then,
yeah,
whatever they do there is a nullity. And the laws of Ghana, frowns on that. So,
but it is that same law
So-
that a person is basing on to go and evict the people. What is the punishment, generally for people who engage in stuff like that? So I'm a landlord, I go to the court, I get the court ruling that, yes, go take ownership of your land. I do not come to the assembly. What is the punishment for that?
okay, it's a penalty. It's like you have developed. It's like you have developed a land without prior permit from the assembly. If you go and possibly do what they have done, they have also flouted our authority as an assembly to monitor the development and the occupation of people in our jurisdiction.
So
when
now
we come,
what will you do? Because he has done it. What will you do to the
We'll
landowner?
punish them for, yes, they will pay penalty.
Now,
They will pay penalty.
okay, so the question that bothers me is, have the police overreached in this case?
Then have the police,
Have they overextended their jurisdiction in this case?
they have done more than that.
Explain.
They have supervised the land guards to loot people, right before them.
These are serious
You have
allegations.
No, people ran to my office. After that day, when I came, the following day, the people ran to my office at Boston. There are people, if these are allegations, the police didn't enter the room. The police were holding their gun rifles and were taking positions. And the land guards entered the rooms of the people and were taking off all the items, money that they are stealing, and other things that they have stored under the gun. The guns, the people were putting the guns there. And you say it's allegation. How else do you want to do that?
Now,
So what I'm saying is that the police circumvented the lay-down process that they themselves know. That myself and them have been following that in the case of the Millennium City one.
Now, being a land guard in Ghana, if I understand where we are now in the national discussion, is actually an illegality, which means that the police came and supervised people who are in persona non grata in the system to, perpetuate this act. I'm not sure what you make of this.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. And the reason why I say whatever they did there is a nullity. Because they have circumvented the lay-down process. In fact, they have supervised daylight robbery of people in their homes when they were holding guns on them at dawn. And so whoever gave that order from the police administration headquarters that they should go and carry on that operation actually brought the image of the police service into what Professor Depa would say, Obakwe. Obakwe. Yes. Serious disrepute. It hasn't helped their cause.
Right. Now, Honorable, so what happens to the victims? Because now they have, through no fault of theirs, bought land probably from a chief, someone comes in, they've been evicted. Well, maybe the assembly will do something about it. Penal measures will be meted against this landowner. But in the meantime, what happens to the victims?
Auntie, the victims are now peacefully residing back in their homes. What we are waiting for is that gentleman, it's called a adjective. I want them to come, produce their site plan for us to confirm whether portions of the land that the chief sold fall within their area they are claiming. Then, based on that, we can then call those chiefs to come and also explain. But until then, we are all being
But have the victims or the people not also committed themselves in a way, because you own your land, a land that you've bought for, as long as you are concerned, as far as you are concerned, from the rightful source, maybe the chief. Someone comes in to claim ownership of the land, you negotiate with that person to pay another money. Have you not committed yourself?
Fine, can say so. But that is why I say that once that agreement has been reached between the two, the landlord, the supposed landlord, and the tenant, it changes from taking possession to debt collection. So the police actually had gone there to help the man do debt collection. So whether the people had committed themselves or not, the thing has changed from taking possession to debt collection. So we don't pounce on them at all like that, and then throw out, paralyzed people. So patient was pulled from his room bedroom, brought to the veranda, the parents' mothers, nursing mothers and those things, under the guise of taking possession, when you have already met the people and renegotiated. So it changes from taking possession to debt collection.
Honorable, have you been able to cite the court ruling? Have you seen the document to know what the details are?
I saw something, when I went there. But it is for them to bring their official one and attack their side plan. I am very particular about that. Because the side plan will find exact total plot in question and the location.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable. We'll fall on you again when we need more details. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your...
Yeah, so we've been speaking with Honorable Solomon Dako Kwam, who is the DCA for Gomoa East District. Now, from there's very interesting layers to all of this. If the tradition, okay, so he says that once he sees the site plan of the 50 acres, the so-called 50 acres, right, then they will be able to tell whether those who have been evicted
fall within
that site plan, number one. Number two, if you've bought your land from the chief and you fall within, then the chief have questions to answer. Right. So the traditional authorities do not get away necessarily unless what they sold is outside of this 50-acre site plan, which then also absolves, also brings the land owner, the alleged guy, into question. Why are you evicting people that do not fall within where your site plan is? So there's so many different.
You see, David, for me, where we sit now, we are all in a way being emotional about this. That is why I...
How are we being emotional?
So let me explain.
Okay.
That is why I asked that what is going to happen to the victims, okay? Some people have their stuff thrown out. They are on the street. These are people who have been able to save a bit of money to purchase a land from whoever. It's very difficult in this country to know that David is the rightful owner. I mean, if you go to Lands Commission, you would know. This has always been the education that before you commit yourself, make sure that you also do all the checks. Sometimes we just rest everything with the traditional authority. That once is the chief selling the land to me, is genuine. But we also have seen a lot of instances where chiefs have sold lands to multiple people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, my issue is...
I'll tell you my story.
We are all sitting down, okay? Now, the chief says, let a guy come and meet me. Now, the man says, we are waiting for him to bring his site plan. Does it look like the landowner is going to do all this? He's gone ahead, okay, to evict people. That's why I kept asking,
but he says
what are you going to do?
Yeah, but he says that from this morning.
So I'm asking,
he has asked the residents to go back into their...
You have asked them, but you have not solved the problem. So my question is, if that man, you mentioned earlier that maybe these are vulnerable people, if he has what it takes, that if you go in 100 times, I will come in and get you out 100 times. What is going to happen? And then anytime they come out, you also give counter instructions, go back in. What I'm saying is, if we really think that this man has not done something right, things must not be left to his terms, that we are waiting for him to come. I don't know if you get where I'm coming from.
No, but what do? You're supposed to invite the person
counter sue,
to
do
bring
other things.
The district assembly is
but my
the
point
overarching
is,
authority.
I get you. What I'm
within
trying
the jurisdiction of his land.
You are not getting my point. What I'm trying to say is, just as the landowner felt that I'm negotiating with you, I can't wait on your timelines, and so I have taken an action. We should also take action. The assembly must take action. Do you get it? Find them. And because if you say that, oh, there was no contact number on the thing to call. And so we are waiting. That is my argument here. There are people who are on the street, people who are afraid that you've asked them to go back. Now, when we go back, you know, we do not know when next this guy will come for another. This time maybe people will be whipped. People might be injured. You get it? And so there's going to be a clash. So if we say that we are waiting for the man to come, okay, so in 6 months' time, if he's not brought the site plan, what will happen? In the case of that, we are waiting.
That's what the Honorable was suggesting. When he says we are waiting, it's a day or two. I mean, they've actually spoken, they've actually sent the message to him to bring his site plan, right? So bring it. If it doesn't come, then they'll take further action. That's my presumption.
Well, I hope this is what it really is, because my issue is for the chief to say that, let the man come and meet me.
Yeah.
How? Do you get it?
Yeah.
If you have all documents, also go to court, also go to the police, that what this gentleman is doing is an illegality.
Because when you bought
and
it
there
from
should
the
be
chief,
an injunction immediately.
Now, when you
Do you get
bought
it?
it from the chief, you should have documents.
That is what I'm saying. That in the
documents.
meantime, the assembly or the traditional authority should also probably go to court, get an injunction against whatever eviction or demolition that might be going on while we continue the talks. Because for now, it's not an issue of let's wait for him to bring his stuff. Let's wait for him to do that. If you wake up tomorrow morning and there's another, because he has a legal document claiming that he can do this, we all will put human face to it to say that don't do this to the people, because at the end of the day, they are the victims. But we need to get up and do more. If really he is doing something untoward, like the DCE has stated, that this is not the right way to go. Today, tomorrow, what I was waiting to hear is we are going to court to put an injunction on anything to challenge whatever ruling that the court has given to him, because you can't do that. Whilst we talk about...
But I don't think that it's an injunction to the ruling per se is the issue. It's the way the execution of the judgment.
So if it is wrong, it is not about a meeting. That's what I'm trying to say, that if it is wrong, if someone goes to steal something, if someone abuses something, somebody, it's not an issue of let's talk about it. You understand? Let's report him to the police. Even if it is your child, don't we see people defiling their own children? And the first thing is we go to the police. It's not an issue of come, let's have a meeting over this, and what you did was not right and all that. If somebody has come in to evict over 1,000 residents, kick them out on the street, and what is doing is an illegality. It's not an issue of go and bring your site plan. It's not an issue of come and let's have a meeting, come and let's talk. Take a stiffer action. You get it? Because victims are involved. That is my stand.
Now, I agree with you. I mean, I just think that from hearing the DCE talk, I think that there will be action that will be taken.
Because if the guy was in court for about 3 years on the land, who was the other litigant? Was it the traditional authority? Was it the resident? Do you get where I'm coming from? When he went to court, he was fighting over ownership of the land against who?
Yeah, well, I mean, like the DCE said, the court can always give a default judgment, which means
was that the case? That's why I asked. That's why I asked. Have you cited the ruling? Was it a default judgment? Was it? Did we see the case through to its final conclusion? So the other parties, let them come. But in the meantime, let's solve the problem of the people.
Well. Okay. So there you have it. All of these things are still up in the air. We're going to be finding out in the coming days exactly what will ensue, and so the updates that will come from today, tomorrow, and the coming days, we will keep you updated as well.